Hello AOS fans, it's me, Pete. I'm here to give you another deck video, and this one this week is for a mystery matchup. Robin and I are doing a best of 3. Now, for all you Patreon supporters out there, you will get the second and third games on the Patreon feed. For anybody who isn't a Patreon member, you will get the first game as usual. It would be our normal Friday Fight Club, but the next 2 will only be available if you do sign up on Patreon. So for this matchup, Robin and I do not know what the other person is taking. We get full reign of whatever we want with our favourite warband, our favourite cards, whatever we like. But the key is neither of us know what the other person is taking. So we do have to come up with a deck that is balanced. Kind of a tournament deck, which is what we try anyway. So this is the deck I've got. It is Sepulchral Guard. I haven't played them for a little while, and I do still like them. I still think they're one of my favourites. Possibly losing a little bit of ground to Skaven, but we'll see. So without further ado, let's crash on. As always, I'll start with my objectives. My objectives are battle without end. I score this one in the end phase. If 2 or more friendly fighters return to the battlefield in the preceding action phase, well, I'll probably almost definitely be bringing someone back at some point. Someone's going to die, and I'll also hopefully have the card in my hand which enables me to res someone as well. Next one is March of the Dead. This one's pretty much a given for me. I'm going to be moving my guys around because this is an offensive Sepulchral Guard deck. So people are going to be running across the field. So all I've got to do is move 5 people, or at least 5, but all of my guys surviving. Next one is More Able Bodies. I've taken this one because, well, I'm hoping I'm going to be offensive enough that I'm going to start taking people out. In this case, I'll get a glory if I take 2 or more enemy fighters out in the preceding action phase. Skills Unforgotten, not one that I necessarily have a lot of luck with, but I'm hoping that my Warden will be able to remember which end of the pointy stick he's meant to be stabbing into people, and that will get me another glory. Now, whilst I am taking an offensive list, one thing Sepulchral Guard do very well is objective snatch, especially for the ones in their half. I've got 3 petitioners. They can just sit back on objectives and hopefully they won't get bothered too much whilst Robin sits there smashing apart whoever else I've got on the field. So I've got Determined Defender in my deck for that one. All I've got to do is sit petitioner on a objective for 2 turns, and I am in there. I then got some old favourites. I've got Escalation, played 3 or more upgrades in the previous turn. I've got Ploy Master, play 3 ploys in the previous phase, and I've also got Master of War. Play a ploy, upgrade, and get an objective. So those 3 are nearly always in my deck. Can't go wrong with any of them. I then got Supremacy. I hope being I can get 3 objectives in my half, that's a given for me with all of the guys I've got sitting around. After that, our only way out, which is pretty much a poor man's Supremacy, gets you 2 glory instead of 3 for grabbing 3 objectives. If I can get both of those at the same time, that's 5 glory that will net me, which would be very nice. I've also got Advancing Strike, which is kill somebody in an enemy zone. I'm going offensive, I'm going to be getting in his face, so hopefully that one should be a pretty easy one to get. And the last card is Master Stroke, which is kill somebody by using a reaction, either an attack that came from a reaction or by causing damage as part of a reaction. I've got quite a few reactionary cards in my deck, so I'm hoping that one should be quite an easy one to get. And those are my 12 objectives. A little bit of offense, a little bit of glory there. I think with Sepulchral Guard, due to just sheer weight and numbers, you've got to go for some of the grab objective cards. It's a given, I think. So on to the upgrades, the things I will spend that glorious glory upon. My first one is Deathly Charge. Pretty much a given. Get the champion, charge him in, does +1 damage, and then if I can get an additional attack off of him later on in that turn, that will get the +1 damage as well. Next one is Focused Attack. I do like this one on my halfster. It's 2 hammers, 2 damage, but if I roll a crit, then it gets Cleave. Cleave is never to be sniffed at. I'm always up for more Cleave wherever I can. Next one I have is Frightening Speed, which is +2 movement to my halfster, champion, or my prince. They are my main guys, so it's always handy to give a bit more manoeuvrability to them. I've then got Acrobatic, which is my dodges in my defense characteristics will turn into shields. Always worth it. My guys only have dodge. It can make them a little bit fragile, so upping that to shields will make them hopefully a little bit more hardy. I've then got Awakened Weapon, which will enable me to re-roll 1 attack dice every time that fighter makes an attack. I think this will be handy on someone like the champion or the warden if they need to make an attack that I need to hit. Then got Demonic Weapon, pretty much a given for Sepulchral Guard, and I think Skaven decks, when you can res somebody, you can use this, charge in, do a fairly scary amount of damage with it for, you know, a Sepulchral Guard, and then you take 1 damage. Your opponent then has to decide whether they want to take that person out or risk another 3 damage attack, and usually it's a good one to, you know, distract people. I then got great strength. That +1 damage is always good, especially if you can get that with demonic weapon. That's 4 damage you could be dishing out. That's pretty terrifying against anybody. After that I've got light armor. Crits on your defense are no longer considered a success, but you roll an extra attack dice when they make an attack. Again, this is good for someone like the champion, maybe the harvester if he's been given focused attack, or the warden. Just the more dice you can roll, the more chance you got of rolling crits, and the more successes you roll, the more chance you got of actually winning and doing more damage. Next card I've got is a Destiny to Meet. I do like this card. Just give it to somebody. It's going to be on a petitioner sitting in the backfield, and you gain 1 glory at the end of the game. It's a free extra glory pretty much for Sepulchral Guard. And then the Formless Key, pretty much in the same field as Destiny to Meet really. It's an extra glory at the end of the game. I just put it on one of my petitioners. At some point they're going to sit in the backfield and be completely unmolested. So that's it. Those are my upgrades. I have gone for a 22 card deck, so that's all 11 of them. And to get those upgrades, I'm going to show you the ploys that will help me win the objectives to gain the glorious glory to buy them. My first ploy is a Bone Shrapnel. You play this after an attack action takes a friendly fire out of action and you cause 1 damage. Always nice to be able to do that free damage on somebody that they can't stop. Next one is Ceaseless Attacks. I can play this after a friendly fires attack action and I can make an attack with someone else. That might come in handy with the champion. If I charge him on a turn and then the next turn I charge with a warden, I could do another attack with the champion afterwards and he still gets that +1 damage from his deathly charge. Next one is Restless Dead. Use this to raise somebody and put them back on the battlefield who isn't the warden obviously. That'll be handy for my battle without end. The next card I've got is the Necromancer Commands. Play this one after a friendly fight's attack action fails and make the attack action again. This is a bit like Awakened Weapon again, just allows you to re-roll all your dice if you fail the attack. The more attacks I can get off the better. I want to be doing damage wherever I can. I've then got Death Throws. This is a bit like Bone Shrapnel, but it can be played during an attack action that will take a friendly fire out of action, and I can use it to hit somebody else, not necessarily the person who hit me. That could be useful if I have both that and Bone Shrapnel, because I can play them both, because one is during and one is after, and possibly hit 2 different people or put 2 damage on one person. I then got Jewel of Wits. Pretty much nearly always a given in my deck. It's just great to get those 2 extra cards out. Next one is Quick Thinker. I've got a lot of people on the battlefield, and the more of them I can move without having to sacrifice an activation, the better. This one enables me to move somebody after somebody else has made a move action, or one of my enemies, to be specific, has made a move action. I can use this to interrupt a charge, or possibly I could use it to move another one of my guys up to try and help out and assist the attack that's about to happen, or at least assist the defense against that attack. I've then got Ready for Action. Always like Ready for Action if I've got a spare glory hanging around, which hopefully I will from some of my easier to score objectives. I can play a power up and then I can immediately make a move or attack action. Gaining that extra move could be really handy. Gaining an extra attack could be really, really handy, especially if I can then throw in something like Ceaseless Attacks and maybe chain off 2, possibly even 3 attacks in an activation. The next one is Trap. Again, this is a +1 damage, but this one is when you push a fighter back. So this is another card I've got which does 1 damage that the opponent can't stop. Again, the more damage I can do, the better, and as my guys don't do masses of damage, the more of these cards I get out, the better for me. And the last one is Second Wind. I can choose a friendly fighter that made a charge action, and in the next activation they can be activated as if they'd only moved. Again, this will be handy with my champion. I can charge him if he's got Deathly Charge on, and then do the extra 1 damage. I could then use Second Wind to do an attack with him in the second round as well, because, you know, you count just having moved. So there we are, those are all my cards. Nearly all offensive, in some way or another. They're all about doing damage, or enabling me to re-roll attacks, or enabling me extra attacks, or enabling me some extra moves. Lots of stuff there to hopefully put the pain on somebody else. I've not played a really offensive Sepulchral Guard deck, and I think it should go quite well. I mean, it depends who I'm up against. If Robin decides to take Skaven, I could really be in trouble if he decides to run away up the other end of the battlefield. If he takes Oryx, and I think he's going to take Oryx, then this could be a very handy deck for me. All that extra damage just ticking away, all those extra wounds here and there, and all the extra attacks here and there. I'm really hoping that if Robin decides to go offensive Oryx, or maybe offensive Fire Slayers, or maybe even offensive Stormcast, because he does like his offensive decks, this deck could really shine, because then I don't have to worry about my movement so much. I can just have him come to me, and then hopefully I'll just put the pain on. So that's it. Let me know what you think of this deck. Let me know if there's any cards you think I should get rid of or add in, if there are any objectives you certainly wouldn't take in an offensive deck, or if there are any upgrades that you think are just pointless and that I should take something else. I know that a couple of my upgrades aren't particularly offensive, like Destiny to Meet a Formless Key, but they are extra glory, which is always handy. And some of my objectives certainly aren't offensive, such as Ploy Master or Escalation or Master of War, but again, they're pretty much always a dead cert in my decks because they are pretty easy to achieve and pretty handy to have. So anyway, let me know what you guys think, and I shall see you soon. And don't forget, if you want to see the other matches in the best of 3, Patreon is in the links below. Please do follow it along. Have a look. We are trying to build a little community up there, which would be really great to see more people coming along, and obviously the more support we can get from you guys, the more we'll be able to devote to the channel. So, see you soon. Bye!